Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dragoonster16. I think I'll stick with that as a title. I don't know. I'm recording this the day I uploaded the first episode where I was talking about what I was going to do. Go into kind of talking about Napoleonics. I'm not going to start gluing yet, and I've not read any, and there's not been any comments yet. But I just thought I would open up the Waterloo box set and show you what's in it to begin with. There is a little tiny rulebook. That's Napoleon himself, with the various rules and some scenarios from the various parts, starting with the War of Spanish Succession, 1705, all the way up to something with the Zulu action on the Inyazane in Zululand. So this is the Anglo-Zulu War, I assume. They do sell a Battle of Rorke's Drift set, but I think it's just it's not got rules or anything. This is A5 in contrast to the big A4 rulebook, which means some of the other books refer to books in the rulebook that aren't right, because that's the wrong size. We've got a little a little sheet about Waterloo, a little booklet in A4 with a little bit of history, overview of the battle, what happened when, and then talks about building your army, what you get, how you're supposed to base them, the idea of formation, a basic kind of idea of roughly how to play, shooting rules, hand to hand, and then finally breaking, which I think is how you win from some of the things I've seen. Basically, once all the units are broken, and then there's the unit stats there. So I think basically once the units are broken, that's it. We've got a little quick reference sheet that is on the side, and I think on the side you can get casualty markers, although I'm not sure I'll use them. I might just use tokens. 6 dice, quite nice. The Waterloo kind of metals, so you can see, I assume he's one of the artillerymen covering his ears. We've got, I think this is the French officer hiding behind the symbol, hiding behind the kind of sticker. Although if you're surrounded by the enemy, probably hiding is a good idea. And then you've got the British officer nonchalantly with his back towards us, leaning on his umbrella. So I think you can just make out part of the gun, and there's the wheels. Packed by Becky. Oh. And then we get into the sprues of plastics. Let's push that way so we can get a good look at them. So this is the British one, I think. It says on the back here. If I can get it right. Yeah, British Line Infantry. You can just make out that. That's the British line. They've got their shakos on. So we can contrast that with the Hanoverians, who've got these little caps on. But I think they might actually be the same bodies. Let's try and compare. Yeah, I think they might be the same bodies. And it's just the hats, the headwear that's different. I think these are just loads of British all the way down. How deep does it go? British, right. So you can now see the great coats or the overcoats of the French here. I assume that's the French line. Yeah, late French line. So they've got their overcoats on, and then you've got the various heads. I think there seems to be more head options. Let's see, let's have a look at the British. So the British, we've got 4 there and another 3, so you got 7. And then for the French, looks like it's 5 and 5, so that's 10. I assume these are for different ranks, especially like you've got kind of like these heads. It's trying to put this in focus. Let's move that away. Hopefully it'll help it focus on this. So you've got these like little kind of... They don't look like plumes. They've got these little things on top of their hats, or shakos, which might mark them maybe grenadiers, but I think grenadiers normally have like a symbol of a grenade on them. These are... So, I don't know. So we've got some French, more French, more French, loads of French. I mean, it's kind of what you'd expect at Waterloo, really, is loads of French. So I'm not complaining. Ooh, overall, it was packed by Mirella. Very nice. Very well done. Right. Here we go. Here we get the French Chasseur à Cheval. Is that written somewhere? Yeah, right at the bottom here, I think. No, that's all of the games. Oh, right at the top. Chasseur à Cheval. So this is the mounted hunter's chasseur, I think. So there's, you got 2 on the sprue. You got the 4. You got 4 bits of horse, and then you've got headgear, and I'm not sure what these are meant to be. These ones, these bits. They look like they're meant to be kind of the scabbard for the sabre. And then I think this is just cavalry, cavalry, cavalry. And then we've got quite a few different bases. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to base these. I assume that the 40 by 40, that's these ones, are for your infantry. How many horsemen was it? Let's have a look. Let's have a look again while I'm kind of thinking. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12. So I mean, if we had 12 of these, I'd be tempted to put. Oh, so there's 2 of these. So if we've got 6, you might think about doing them individually. It's 2, 3, 4. So there's only 4 of those. And I think there's 24 of each of the infantry. So there's 24 of the Hanoverian. I think there's 48 and 48. I think. I mean, they look to be about the same size, don't they? Maybe it's written somewhere. Is it written on the back? Yes, 48 and 48. So you're looking at 4 to a base means you've got 12, 12 and 6. That's 30. And on these sprues we've got 9 each. So yeah, so actually it might be that they're suggesting putting 2 cavalry on each of these bases for the French. And I think that would be about right. He says, so 30, and then you'd need basically another 6, wouldn't you? So yeah, that would be just enough, and then you've got all these other bits and pieces, all these other bases, which seems kind of like a bit of a waste of plastic. But actually, what do you put the artillery on? There isn't one for the artillery. There aren't any. Oh, this is a different one. Okay. So we've got these bases here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's still too short. And that also means that the 40 by 40 bases, instead of, we've got 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. I do not understand the bases. I mean, I don't have to. I'm not going to be thinking about. Admittedly, I'm not going to be thinking about the bases for a while, because I don't think 4 of these guys on a base is going to be particularly good for painting. So I'm probably not going to bother like gluing them to the base straight away, especially as they've already got kind of like these little kind of bases anyway. So I'm probably just going to paint them. I'm probably going to glue them together, take them off the sprue, glue them together, then spray and paint, and then put them on the bases. I do have some other bases over there. A lot of 40 by 40 because having looked in the late Hanoverian box, for the Warlord, they do not give you bases. I kind of regret like finding out afterwards that Perry miniatures do come with bases, and I kind of regret not going with Perry for the British line. I don't think they do Hanoverian in plastic, but they do British line. I think that might have been better. We can try those out, but of course we've got the sprues, the command sprues from these guys, and I think these look better than the Hanoverian metals that we looked at last time. I think we'll have a look. The only problem, for lack of a better word, is let's get the Warlord British. The Warlord British and the Perry British, the Perry miniatures, they're both 28mm. So if I put them side by side, they're the same height. The problem is the other problem though. Let's try and line these up through the camera. That's not going to work. I'd have to cut them out. Something just went ting. The only problem is the major difference is. Let's see if I can find like some arms to compare. Is there a good arm? So you got grounded, you got shouldered arms, kind of looking or present. Oh, I don't know, but if we kind of compare those arms, that's not a very good look. But basically, these guys are a bit chunkier. They are made to basically a 28mm heroic scale. So that means that in theory, I could take these guys, the heads with the shakos, and put them on Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard, because they're the right scale. These guys, they're 28mm true scale, I think. So that means that these guys are going to be slightly smaller than these guys. They're not going to be as like big and broad. I don't know if that's going to have an impact on the look of them next to each. Maybe next to each other they might not look good, but I am kind of going to put four of the command are going to be on separate bases from these guys. I'm not sure about the other guys because there's 6 there, which means that if I were to get some British command from Warlord, I could just stick them in and then they'd be the right scale, and put these guys in like a Perry set. But yeah, that's what's in the Waterloo stuff. Now I'm just going to go and put it back because I'm only working on the British at the moment, but I will be doing the French eventually. So here we are after 2 or 3 hours over the past couple of days of assembly on the British forces. So I'm working on them, so let's pan across and see what we've got. So, super glue arrived, so I very promptly put our artillery piece together with our 4 crewmen. I don't actually have a base for these guys. The 4x4 squares that I'm going to be using for the infantry are they're too small. I can just fit the artillery piece on, but like the kind of limber thing at the back is falling off, so I can't use that. I also have some 60mm diameter circular bases somewhere in this pile. And I've lost them. Okay, I'll find them. But again, they're a little bit too small, so I'm going to get some new bases for these guys. I wonder where they are. Because I was thinking about what I was going to do with them. Never mind. Then, continuing the metal, this fellow didn't actually need any gluing. He's our British officer with his umbrella, and I think that's a cigar. Although, this time period they would have used pipes. rather than cigars. Although he might have been on the peninsula, because I think they picked that up from the. I think people picked that up from the Spanish. Now the circular bases I'm using for the commanders, but he's a bit small. I think it works for them. It'll work for the mounted ones, but I'm not sure how it will work for him because I'm not sure what else we'll put on that base to make it like a little bit of a diorama type thing. And then I'll move him aside, and then behind him we have our regiment. Our first regiment has been glued up. Woohoo! You'll notice that instead of the 4 that's everywhere else, so you notice that there's 2 blocks of 4, and then over here there's 2 blocks of 4. Well, in the middle there's 2 blocks of 3. This is the Perry command sprue, just kind of put together as a set of 2 bases. It means that I don't actually need another 2 guys to make these up to two sets of 4, which basically saves me some guys. It means I can sneak an extra regiment out of the box, which is really useful. The other reason why I've done that, let's move these guys forward. So actually, let's go with guys who are slightly similar. So let's go with a guy with a gun and one of the basic troops. So this is, let's get down on their level. This is a warlord and a Perry miniatures guy. So it looks like there's slightly, let's rotate these guys so they're slightly in the light. It looks like, can I get these to focus properly? No, I've just made it darker. I'm still working out how to do live filming stuff. The Perry miniature seems to have more detail on him, but I don't know if I've mentioned this, but the Warlord, they're actually at heroic scale. So they're more kind of a scale with Games Workshop. So he's slightly broader, and he's in many ways. Oh dear, and he's fallen over. So they're going to be an interesting combination. I think that's part of the reason why I've split the command into 2 3s rather than having a 4 and putting some of the other miniatures with the Warlord. I think if I had just Perry, or just Warlord, I might have been tempted to have just put in the units quite close to the command, but on another base. This one I'm going to split them up. So we've got our a basic soldier there. We've got our officer with his saber. So he's calling for a bit of a halt. But he's got his saber in place. And again, focus. Oh well. And then behind him is the drummer. There we go. And then the next base, next time I'll actually move up to this. Hopefully that'll get some... we've got our 2 kind of colour ensigns, so they are holding the colours. I'm not actually sure where ensign comes from, because I know that the flags are ensigns. I know they certainly are at sea. And the lowest rank of officer is ensign. I'm not sure which one came first. I think it might be that the colours and the standards will be. And then in front of them is a sergeant with a pike. So sergeants with pikes would often be used I think sergeants would be used to help defend the colours, because the colours of a regiment were very much attached to the regiment, and they were the regimental colours and the king's colours, and there was a lot of kind of pride in retaining your colours, or indeed capturing one of your enemies. There's quite a few paintings you can see of that kind of period, like around this period, or of this period, where people have captured colours or are defending colours, because a lot of the regimental honour was attached to your colours. So that's the first set. This is, in theory, this is a playable army. Actually, you've got a commander, and you've got 2 units. You've got our artillery here, and a unit of line infantry. I don't think it'd be a good army. In fact, I've kind of been working out, and with this splitting the command like this, if I do that for all of the British infantry in the Waterloo set, in there, that's 3 British, plus I've got a British box over here. still in shrink. That's 4 British line infantry, and then I've got Hanoverian battalion in there, plus this Hanoverian battalion. I'm going to have 6 infantry battalions, plus an artillery piece. This is going to be a very heavily infantry kind of army to begin with the Brits. It seems a lot of... but, I mean, the thin red line was kind of a traditional kind of expectation of the British. Kind of their thing, really. It's primarily infantry. Then back into Waterloo, we've got a few... I think we've got 2 French units, 2 French line infantry units, and then I might be able to... I think 2, probably, units of chasseurs à cheval. So that's one of their light cavalry options for the French. So the French are going to have a bit more of a variety, I think. Still thinking about if I'm going to do a third army. Part of me is tempted. I think let's see how these guys go. But yeah, I think the French are probably going to have a better army than the British, just looking at it. But I will be trying them out. Once they're both kind of assembled and painted and based, which I've not done yet because you have 4 guys to one of these bases, and it's going to make it very difficult to paint otherwise. So let's just illustrate that. I should probably get this out. Let's not, because then I have to switch the camera off. I should have had one out before. But yeah, I think the French are going to have a better army. But I will try them out at some point. Once they're both done, I might put them together while I consider what to do. Another army, or just building up between these two. So right, there we go.